We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, welcome everyone. This is the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hassani, and it is Tuesday morning. Good to be with you wherever you may be from around the world. It's 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We want to connect with you. We want to know who you are, so make sure you put it in the chat box. Let us know your name, where you're dialing in from, so that we can honor you this morning. We were talking about love. That's right. We were talking about love on yesterday. More specifically, the 5 love languages, which is that fundamental book. And I want to go a little bit deeper, not specifically on that book, but we might as well talk about love here today. We ended off talking about this concept of a love tank, right? A love tank. And so I want to go in that direction because many of you are on E. I mean, you've been on E for quite some time and you're just inching your way to a gas station trying to figure out, or a love station, trying to figure out how can I be filled up again. And there's a process, there's intentionality, there's things that you have to do. And so today we're talking about falling in love, stay in love, because there was a season in your life when you were in love. In fact, many people get married because they love each other, and then something happens that shifts things, and we're going to go in that direction. But before we do that, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Let the community know that we are here. That is your entry. That is your admission into this place. You have to share it because there's so many people who are hurting now, particularly during these holiday seasons. Now, truth be told, during the holidays, that's when you realize, man, what am I in, and how long am I going to continue to remain in this space? These are times when people come together to celebrate, to have fun, to express love. But you begin to realize where your relationship is, because during those holidays, are we estranged? Are we talking? Are we engaging? Are we connecting? Are we having a good time? Or are we still operating in a miserable place? And the holidays has a tendency of shining a spotlight on the relationship. So what a perfect timing to talk about how to reconnect and get that passion back that you once had, that we all had in the very beginning. But listen, before we go, a couple quick announcements. Last Chance Weekend, December the 10th through the 12th. It is not too late to register. There is still a slot or 2 left. Make sure you do it. And as promised, I want to share with you what another individual who just came out of the Last Chance Weekend last month had to say about the experience, to give you an indication of what you can experience when you make the decision to come.
Hi, my name is Brenda Eskridge, and I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. This weekend has been a phenomenal experience. I did come in a little closed-minded, kind of like, if there's no magic pill that's gonna help this marriage, it's over and I'm okay with that. But from the first evening, the work began, and within just really 12 hours, my mindset shifted to really wanting to work on my marriage. So I would say the experience, I mean, the first day was just, I can't even describe how I felt. And, you know, being able to step inside myself, or step outside of myself, I should say, and see the role that I played in our issue with infidelity. And, you know, just what we've learned so far, and the tools and techniques to use going forward, I think are going to be a tremendous help for the relationship. I thought about, as I'm sitting in the class, all the people that I know that are separated or have gone through a divorce, like, man, I wish that they could have had this experience, because I know they would still be together right now.
Powerful, right? Very, very powerful. And we're excited because they are now part of the Moving Forward program to do the continual work necessary to get them to an amazing place. So listen, we're going to start this show right after this brief video unpacking the next Last Chance Weekend. Yeah, that's the last chance weekend, guys. So make sure you do that. I'm over here like struggling a little bit because I'm reading through your comments, and question was asked by Thomas, what happened to the Q&A last night? And it just, certain questions or certain thoughts just send you to certain places. And the reason why we didn't have a show last night, because we almost died. I was in a major car accident a night ago, and on the highway at nighttime, it was raining heavy, and do about 65 miles an hour, about to get off 2 exits away to get to my home, and there was a huge buck, a deer buck, standing in the middle of the highway. And we didn't see it until 2 seconds before impact, and had a head-on collision with this animal, and your light flashes before you. Immediately the airbags release, and we were stopped on impact. And if it weren't for the car that was built in a particular way, if it weren't for the fact that I didn't have time to swerve, because we found out most deaths occur when people try to swerve around and then they wind up skidding and, hitting a tree and going through the windshield. But we had this head-on collision with this big buck deer that totaled the car, cracked the window. It was a situation. I can go into details, but that's why we weren't here. And it's a sobering moment, because you begin to realize, man, what am I doing with my life? You could be here one day, gone the next. You could have a moment where you're full of joy and laughter, and then in complete tragedy the next. And so, of course, you begin to think about everything. You think about your wife, you think about your children, you think about your parents, your family, you think about your loved ones, you think about your purpose. Even if you live to the age of 85, 95, life is still short, but when it's taken from you before you believe it's your time. And so it's a sobering moment, because it helps you to reset and to begin to live life to the fullest. And this is why it's so important that the conversations you're having with your spouse, the squabbles, the fights, the arguments, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it, what you're dealing with? There's so many other issues. So many people are living lives of desperation. So many people are living in fear and anxiety. So many people are living in their past. So many people are living in unfulfillment, unforgiveness, and regret. And they've allowed circumstances to determine what the quality of their life is going to be. But when you're faced with the fact that, listen, what if you just had one more day? How would you live that life? What if you were told you only had 60 days to live? How would you live your life? If you only had a year, what would you do different? But when you're not given that option, because your life is in front of you, and in 2 seconds it could be gone, and you come out of that experience without a bone broken, without a scratch or a scrape, you realize how blessed you are. You realize how there are angels of protection encamped all around you. This is why we pray. This is why we believe in the power of God in terms of what he can do for our lives. This is why. So every time I drive down the highway and I see a car accident, the first thing I do is I pray. I don't know who these people are. I don't know what their situation is. I just pray. And so when you do that, I believe that you don't reap where you sow necessarily, because I'm praying for these people, but you do reap what you sow. And now I'm in that situation on the side of the road, car mangled, yet we made it out alive. So that's why we weren't there. I was tempted to come on, but there was so much that we were dealing with, and sometimes you just need a break. Sometimes you just need to reset, recalibrate, and we were able to do that. And so today is a blessed day, because I'm alive, I'm above the ground. It could have been way worse. And so I appreciate you asking that question. I guess you didn't expect an answer like that, but this just lets you know that people, we ask that you pray for us. because we know that we have an assignment. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, man, if I would have died, then yes, I've done things to contribute to the assignment, but have I completed the assignment that God has given me? Have I really gone all in? Have I really answered the call? Have I really reached out as much as I could to each couple? Because that was the purpose that he put me on this planet, to do this work. I didn't know that I was called to do this when I was born. I didn't know that. But when you come into an understanding of who you are and what your purpose and your mission and calling in life is, you want to live it to the full, because you never know. And there's nothing that you could ever do to prepare for a situation. Sometimes life happens. You got to be ready. Your spirit's got to be ready. And you want to leave this place knowing that everything's intact, that you have relationships with your loved ones, that you've settled squabbles. You know how many people, it's so crazy because we come across people who did not have an opportunity to have a certain conversation, right? Those internal resistors, those brakes that kept them from forming their lips to reconcile and to apologize and to make things right. And it makes you evaluate everything, right? So I planned on at some point talking about it, and I will, and go into the depths of it, because literally I'm in the car with a good friend of mine, and life could have been the worst day for both my wife and his wife and our children and our families and our community. But by the grace of God, we're still here. And so it makes me want to double down even harder, to go harder in the paint, to do what's necessary to tear Satan's kingdom down by waging a war on divorce, waging a war on infidelity, waging a war on relational complacency, and helping people to have the best relationships, thus the best lives that they can have. Because we know when your relationship is in order, you can live life to the fullest. And I'm committed to doing that. I'm committed to living my life to the fullest. And I pray that this joy and this exuberance and this passion and this desire becomes like an infectious disease that we can begin to spread all over the world, to let other people know what's possible for them if they are willing to make the commitment by making a decision. That's all it takes, guys. Making a decision. I don't know how much time I have on this earth. It may be a day. It may be a month. It may be a year. It may be a decade. Who knows? We don't know. But I remember someone saying, live as if Christ died yesterday, rose today, and is coming tomorrow. If he were to come tomorrow, how do I want to live my life today? What is now purposeful for my life? What is the true meaning? How should I live? What should my relationships be like? Who should I call? What should I do to reconcile? Live as though Christ died yesterday, rose today, and is coming tomorrow. Now I live life with purpose and intentionality, and I want to make sure I dot every I and cross every T and live life to the fullest. I'm not going to live in fear. I'm not going to live in anxiety. I'm going to step out and do what I was called to do. And every single morning, that's what we attempt to do on this show. So I appreciate the question. Didn't think I was going to talk about that. Didn't think I was going to share it with you, because sometimes when you go through situations, you don't reveal everything. But you know what? At the end of the day, we put our life on display every single day. People are watching us from afar and up close. And for me not to share with you when we are down, when we have struggles, when we have faults and flaws and things that we're dealing with, would not be authentic and genuine. So there it is, guys. We'll get into the topic right after this quick announcement. So stay tuned. Be right back. All right, we're back talking about how we fall in love and stay in love. When your relationship was started, it was initiated by two things, right? Physical attraction and emotional desirability. So not only were you fine, not only did you look good, but you made me feel good. I had this feeling for you. And so that takes us into the type of love that we all once had. We call it romantic love. And it's the feeling of being in love and finding someone completely irresistible. Remember you had that? We all had that, right? But what happens is that in love feeling generally lasts for about 2 years. And then it kind of shifts and changes, right? Because at first it was new. And we spent all our time together and we loved being around each other and we were irresistible and we couldn't keep our hands off of each other. Like we were in like I love your skin, like the smell of your skin, the smell of your hair. I mean, everything about, I love the way you chew. I love the way you laugh. Oh my God, can I just hold your hand? There was a shiver, there was a feeling, there was an excitement in a touch. Just to know that God has allowed you to be blessed with such a gift in the form of your partner. It was all good. Yeah, that's that romantic love. And then something happens. Now, it's not always crisis. It's not always some catastrophe or some major violation or betrayal, but normalcy sets in, right? You get used to, you get comfortable with your partner. And that in love butterfly feeling that you had every time they walked into the room, it's just like, hey, what's going on, girl? Hey, man, what's good? Like there's a level of comfort, which is good. It's an excellent comfort that you can shift into. You love your partner, you love still being with them, but that feeling from the beginning, it's not there. That does not last forever. And I think what happens is we think it's supposed to. And if that feeling, that in love feeling doesn't last forever, is not love anymore. And so this is why we have to have an understanding of what love is. Because oftentimes when we no longer feel that, we think something is missing, something is lost. And I don't know what happened, but I need that feeling. This is why we say there are hidden addictions of an affair. And for some, it is the feeling of newness. It is the feeling of being in love. And now I need to search for it again. And that becomes the new high. And when that dies out, I got to search for it again. Because that's what I'm searching for, the feeling of new, the feeling of excitement, the feeling of being in love. And so the feeling of newness wears off quickly. And so that's why we have to understand what love truly is. It matures, it shifts, it changes. Now, you can still have an emotional feeling when you just love your spouse. But now it's kind of shifted into what we call a caring love. And a caring love is a decision to try to do what you can to make someone happy, a willingness and effort to care for someone. So the love that Danielle and I have for each other is because we've decided to be intentional and purposeful in understanding what each other needs and what each other wants and desires. And if you're going to be with me, I want to do the best I can to help meet your need and your desire. Because if I can do it, it's showing my care for you. It's showing how giving. See, love is a giving expression. Okay? It is an action. Yes, it's a feeling, but it's a feeling that is supported through an action. So the feeling of love has to be supported and anchored in with an action, a consistent, repeated action. Love is a gaming word. It's not receiving, it's what I give, is what I do, is what I offer you. For God so loved the world that he gave. We still asking God to give. Can you give me this? And can you give me that? And can you do this? And God, I want. He loves us through giving. And so we love our spouses by providing a caring love where we do for, we give. We give of ourselves, we give of our time, we give of our resources, we give our heart, our soul, our mind, our being. We give to our spouse. That's a caring love. And you have to be intentional and purposeful in knowing that if we're going to maintain this feeling that we have to continue to demonstrate care. And when we do that consistently, that speaks to this whole concept of a love bank. Now, we talked about the love tank, how when you get into a car, you have to put fuel in the tank, and that fuel allows you to go but so far, but eventually the tank dries out and you gotta refill it. So it's a consistent thing. You gotta keep filling that tank up with more gas to get you to another destination. And likewise, in your marriage, you've got to fill up your spouse's love tank so that they can continue in this journey called a relationship. Now, there's a similar concept, but it's called the love bank. The love bank. What is a love bank? The way our emotions keep track of how people treat us. You see, good experiences deposit love units, leading us to like or even love a person. But bad experiences withdraw love units, leading us to dislike or even hate a person. So life is all about experiences. Life is all about moments. And every moment I have with you is an opportunity to win your heart back or to further push you away. And oftentimes, it's the little things. It's the everyday things, the annoyances, the frustrations. It's not the big boulders of life that cause the problem oftentimes. Usually it's the tiny pebbles that make all the difference. If I'm taking a journey with you, if I see a big boulder, I can figure out how to walk around the boulder to get to the other side. But when you've got that little pebble that's in your shoe and you're walking in this journey, it's annoying and it's frustrating and I can't take it anymore. And sometimes you just want to quit the journey. You want to take the shoes off. You're trying to get the pebble out of your shoe, but for some reason you can't see it. It's still stuck in there and you keep on in this journey and it becomes the Achilles heel of your relationship. And so you go from one bad experience to another bad experience to another bad experience. And so what happens is you feel like, wait a minute, there's nothing in this love bank. See, in order to withdraw from your love bank, deposits must be made. And now here's a fact. Every day is not going to be a sunshine. Every day is not going to be an amazing day. There's going to be rain. There are going to be challenges. There are going to be things that you go through that don't feel good, but your relationship can withstand it if enough has been deposited into the account. But if we had a low account from the beginning and now we're trying to withdraw, wait a minute, insufficient funds, not enough in there. And plus, because you attempted to take more out than what was in there, now I'm going to charge you a fee. And now your account is overdrawn and there are fees that are now being added to your account. Now you're in a deficit and now you got to dig your way out of this deficit just to get to zero. You're not even at zero. Listen, I'll take zero all day if I've been in a deficit. I had $20 in the bank and now it says that I'm negative $246 because all these transactions attempted to come out at a certain time and I was charged one non-sufficient fund fee, then an overdraft fee, then this fee, and now I'm way back. I'm way in the deficit. I'm in the red and I got to figure out how to get into the black. So first I got to deal with paying the fees just to get back at zero, and then I begin to build up again. And so some of you just want to move on. You just want to go to the bank teller and say, listen, can you just get rid of the fees? No, I can't get rid of the fees. It's the policy. We got to deal with the fees first. You got to pay, for what you owe to get your account back to zero before you can begin to build again. And in relationships, this is what we do. We do things, we engage in experiences that withdraw from this love bank, and then other worse experiences that now we're in the deficit, and you you just want to move on as if there's a whole lot of money in the bank or love in the bank on the love bank account, and there isn't. You got to put in on this, man. You got to make things right. You got to get this account up to speed. You have to course correct and fill up, because there's a hole. There's a hole. You're putting things in, you're trying to put more money in, but there's a hole. The money's just falling out because something has happened with all of these experiences that has ripped a piece of my heart out. And now I need to be healed. I need to be restored. I need to be made whole. So there's the individual journey that I have to go through to get my healing, while simultaneously we go through a journey together in this relationship to make things right. But anything you attempt to throw in there in the meantime is there's a hole. You ever have a hole in your pocket? You put some money and some change in your pocket, and you walking down the street and you put your hand in your pocket. You're like, what happened to my money? You pull out, there's a hole in there. And some of you have a hole in your heart. There's a hole in that relationship, and it needs repair, and you can't just patch it up. You just can't put a Band-Aid on it. There's a deep cut and a laceration. Sometimes it requires surgery, but when you do the necessary work, you can get to a better place. Are you hearing me? So how do you get out of that rut? How do you get out of that stuck place? By addressing it. Because when you address what caused the hole and the deficit and the withdrawal in the first place, now you're taking responsibility and accountability, and you're not skipping over a necessary phase of the restoration process to get to a better place. So it's not just about doing the right thing. You got to focus on no longer doing the wrong thing. See, you think doing the right thing is just put more money in the account. Just put more money in it. But you still have the same bad behaviors that keep creating the deficit. So you can't withdraw more than you deposit. You can't continue to engage in bad experiences that reduces the love tank without having more positive experiences. So it's a focus on two things. I got to no longer do the wrong thing, and I got to continue to do the right thing. So doing a whole bunch of good and a whole bunch of right things, if I continue to do the wrong thing, I'll never get out of the hole. It'll never get back to zero for me to begin to build. I've got to stop doing the wrong thing, stop engaging in bad experiences, stop the negative habits and the patterns that have kept us trapped in this misery. And now I got to begin doing all the right things to get us out of the hole, back to zero. Now we got $2 in the account, $10 in the account, $100 in the account, $1,000 in the account. And guess what? Now we have enough. For what? What do they tell you to do? The first thing you do when you want to get your finances together, set up an emergency account. Think about this now. We have an emergency account. For what? Emergencies. So in essence, it's saying there's going to come a time where something happens in your relationship that you do not expect. It's gonna happen. But when it does happen, I have enough in storage and savings to cover that situation. Right? So I'm preparing for the inevitable because it's going to happen. But guess what? As they say, save for a rainy day. If you truly save for a rainy day, when the rain comes, you never feel it because you prepared for it. In relationships, when we experience rainy days, the rain comes down. There's no umbrella. There's no raincoat. There's no protection. We are just out here in this rain getting soaked and saturated with all this stuff because we didn't take the time to properly build a healthy foundation in our relationship to help us withstand when the trial comes. And it's wiped us out. And here we are again in a deficit, and we can't get out of this pit. And I don't know how long I'm going to continue to do this. I don't know how much staying power I have. I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. We were once in love. We're not in love anymore. We haven't learned how to maintain it. We're not doing the necessary things. It's not just a feeling. The feeling is supported by a behavior, and that's required. We're just getting started, folks. We're just scratching the surface because some of you have been in a deficit for so long. You've lost hope and belief that it could ever change. You don't know if this thing will ever turn around. You've tried everything. and nothing's worked. So what's going to make now different? What makes now different is tuning in every single day and learning, and not just hearing, but implementing what it is that we share with you. We're committed to helping you get back on track to regain that in love feeling experience all over again that will carry you into the end of time together. You can have it, folks. This is what we believe for you. We believe it for you because we believe it for us. Because we were at that point, we were done. It was over. It was a wrap. Finito. We were about to call it quits. But something shifted. We were willing to dig ourselves out of that pit. And now we're living in a relational palace. And we want to bring as many people on this journey as we can to let you know that if it's possible for us, folks, it's possible for you. All it takes is a decision. Regardless of whether you believe it can be done or not. Because sometimes you don't believe, or your belief is little, and you need God to help your unbelief. But it starts, folks, with the decision. Will you decide? Will you decide? If you have decided, stay on this train, because we're going to get to a destination, and we want you on board with us. Listen, we're going to continue the conversation. Thank you guys. Love you so much. Thank you for allowing me to share my heart and be vulnerable with you for a moment. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your support. You are the reason why we do what we do. We love you. See you tomorrow.